So, obvious question first.
Yes.
What is match racing?
What is match racing? Well, actually it's just two boats sailing one-on-one against each other. It's a little bit like playing tennis. It's not that you have 20 on one side, 20 on the other side. It's just one-on-one, and the winner goes on, loser skips. So that's a little bit what match racing is about.
Okay. Do you think it's more tactical than maybe some of the other classes?
It's a little bit more tactical boat on boat because you
Right.
only have one opponent, so that makes a little bit more boat on boat and more tactical. I don't think so.
No. You've got to have a keen mind, though, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. It's more that you play the game a little bit different because you only have one opponent, and when it's a fleet race when you have 50 on the line, it's just different tactics.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a new class for the 2012 games, but have you coached match racing teams before? Is this your first experience into match racing?
Actually, it's my first experience. I did a little bit of match racing myself, but it's a long time ago, and because it came Olympic, I started coaching it, and enjoying it.
So what did you coach prior to
I was
into match
working
racing?
with the England class. It's also a keelboat with 3 girls in it.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit my background on that one.
So you like working with the ladies' teams?
I like to work with the ladies, yes.
So can you talk us through what a day training with the girls is like?
Normally we have in the morning fitness or some running or biking. Then we go for a sail. Sometimes we do 2 sessions a day and sometimes one, depends a little bit on the weather. And most of the time we have in the morning session more boat handling stuff and some tuning. That's nothing to do with proper match race. And the second half is more match race related in the starting procedure and how to do it tactically.
So with match racing, is the start very crucial, or is it the finish, or is it literally the whole thing?
At the end, it's the finish. The first meter in front of the other is where you win the race with. But the build-up in the start makes it a little bit easier when you're good at starting. Right. When you have a good start and you have the advantage just to control the other boat, then when you do it well, you can win the race.
Right. So how would you compare a day's coaching when you're at a regatta? So say the Olympics or Sail for Gold or something like that. How does that day as a coach happen?
It's more that in the morning you start with some briefing, especially the weather, what's going to be, and also if there are any changes in the notices, so they change the course or they're going to sail somewhere else. Then you meet up with the girls and see what the weather is, what we're going to do, what we're planning-wise want to do, clothing-wise, food-wise, all that stuff. And then we pack the boat, and for us it's quite simple that we don't use our own boats, so the boats are ready in the water, ready to go. So we hop on the boat and sail to the course and start racing.
Because all the boats are exactly the same, aren't they? Yeah, they're all provided for you. So what are your biggest pressures in your particular role? Sort of what pressures are on you?
That's a difficult question. It's more to make sure that the girls are fully in control on what they want to do, and especially on the water where they're really good at, that they play that game very well, and on the shore not getting too nervous about all the Olympic venues.
Yeah.
So try to control that, and I think the shore side and the water side, that's the most precious side. It's really hard to control that.
Right, okay. What sort of qualities do you need to be a good coach? What kind of person makes a good coach?
I think you need to be in training different than when you're doing racing. So in the training you have to have a quite good long-term vision. So when you start a campaign, most of the time it's 4 years. Know exactly what you want to achieve in 4 years' time and what the steps are, and controlling what I call the highway. So the girls have their input and all the others have the input, and see how we can manage that to make it smaller. So we really fire it up towards the Olympics. But when you're doing the Olympics, your coach ability has to be different than in training. So you have to be more aware of all the stuff that's coming from the outside, like changes in the schedules, changes for the sailing, changing in the weather. So you prepare the girls for that, and on the water just to make sure that they do what they're good at and not get disturbed by anything.
Okay. Can you sort of tell us a little bit about the Elliot 6-metre boat, sort of what it's like to sail, what's its strengths, what's its weaknesses?
They're really nice boats to sail actually. They're a little bit more high performance than the England class we had in the previous Olympics. They're really nice planing boats on the downwind, big spinnaker on it, and simple boats. The downside is a little bit because they're quick. Match race is sometimes on the downwind when it's windy, not that much fun.
Right.
Because sailing wise it's fun, but the ratio on how quick you're on downwind makes it harder to gain there.
Right, okay. So how long have you been working with Kate, Lucy and Annie?
For 1.5 years now.
Yeah. And did they approach you to be their coach, or were you sort of given to each other?
No, they approached me to be their coach. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So what's it like working with 3 clearly very driven and determined young women?
Oh, that's really nice. They're really nice girls and really motivated, so I don't have to push it. I don't have to tell them do this, do that. It's more like everybody has his own input and see what the program would be the best for us. So it's really nice to work with them.
Do you form quite a close bond as a group of 4 people? Do you sort of become confident and agony aunt and all that business?
Yeah. You have to make sure that's a 4-person campaign. That makes it easier for everybody. It's a little bit easier than when you have 3 girls and 1 coach.
Right.
It's better to make it 4 and make it work from there.
Okay. So talking about the girls, sort of if we could go through each one of them, what are their roles in the boat?
Lucy is helming the boat. She is also the one who has to make the final decisions on the moment because she has the helm, so she can make the last turns, whatever. Annie is more the structure in the boat, and especially match race wise, the really clever one. She knows exactly how to play the game. And Kate is more the natural sailor on the breeze, on where to go. She's also a good fleet racer, and combining that together, I have a really strong team.
Wow, yeah. So you mentioned that, was it Kate that's the helm?
No,
Lucy's the helm, and she sort of takes that natural lead in the boat.
Yes.
Does that come to shore side as well?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
she takes the sort of natural lead?
It's something that you learn to be better at all the time, but it's also when it's a little bit in your genes.
Yeah.
So when you're natural, more a leader, it fits easier to do the helming.
Yeah. So how would you describe each of their personalities?
Lucy is more the quiet one. She's not a big talker. She's more the one who's really focused, and she can focus really hard on this 50-minute race, helming the boat really into it. And what I said already, Annie is a little bit more the structure on everything. She is the structure on shore and in the boat. That's what suits her. And Kate is really good sailor, a natural good sailor. It comes quite easy to sail a boat.
Right.
And that's also a little bit her personality. Make it easy.
Oh, that's lucky, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's good.
That's natural. Would you say that they always listen to you?
No.
And do you always listen to them?
No. So it's a little bit half-half,
Yeah.
but most of the time it's going quite well.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too complicated and you can build a little bit of a structure on what you want to achieve, then it's quite easy for everybody to agree.
So is it a lot around discussion? Do you sort of sit and talk things through and the pros and the cons? And
yeah, a little bit. It's more like the program is quite holy for me on how you build it, because that's the structure of the whole campaign. And sometimes you have to tweak it a little bit. And I only want to make always a difference in what's logistics and stuff like that, and what's for the sailing. Sometimes you mix it up a little bit. You have to make sure that it's not.
okay. So obviously you've been working with the girls for 1.5 years now, preparing, getting towards here. What was it like? How was it? What was the reaction when you all found out that they'd made the 2012 team for the Olympics in the summer?
Well, they were already really good when I started with them, so they were already in the top before all the time, so they're really good at the match racing. For me, it was quite easy to step in there and just tweak it a little bit, make everything a little bit better, so I don't have to do the big job.
Yeah.
The girls are really good at, so
Yeah.
I don't have to do a lot.
So was it sort of lots of screaming, lots of excitement, lots of woohoo?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, in the beginning, when you have a different coach, everything is more exciting, and then you have to push it a little bit harder. And then it's not only on the water, but also going to the gym and the food and all the organizations around it. That's quite hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's part of Olympic.
Do you yourself have to keep nice and fit with the girls just to keep up with them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Our job is quite physical, also in the rip all the time. So you have to be quite fit. And also for us, the Olympics is 2 weeks, and you want to be fit at the last moment as well.
Yeah.
So it helps when you're fit in front of it.
Yeah. Obviously, there's quite a lot of pressure on the British team going into home Olympics. How well are preparations going?
We're doing quite well at the moment. Everybody is healthy, so that's the most important. Sometimes you forget about it.
Yeah.
And they're fit, so yeah, but looking very, very good at that part.
Where would you say your biggest competition lies going into the games?
It's a little bit, with match race, not that easy to say like that's the one who's going to be the favorite. I think the Americans, the French, the Russians, they're one of the main ones.
Okay, okay. Do you think it will be more of a challenge being that it's a UK home games than maybe going off to another Olympic venue, or do you think it sort of won't have much bearing on the girls? They'll just be focused and do their job?
I hope they just focus and do the job, because on the water it's all the same. Doesn't matter where you sail, and we sail to a top mark and back, so that's nothing special. The surroundings here, when you have the home games, it's a little bit more pressure, but you also can turn it in a good thing. So it gives you more energy, and when you can use that, well, then you're really good on the water.
Fantastic. Before you worked with Kate, Lucy and Annie, who were you working with beforehand?
Beforehand, I worked with the Dutch team. I did already 4 Olympics for Holland.
Wow.
So that's quite a long.
So you know the Olympics quite well.
I know
then.
the Olympics quite well, and in the between Olympic sailing, I did some for ocean race, management stuff and coaching.
So do you draw on these experiences that you've had to support the girls and sort of help them through the Olympic process effectively?
Well, you try to, but every Olympic is different. Even the last one, you think like, well, now I know how it goes. This one, it's going to be different again.
Yeah.
But you can use a little bit the knowledge on what you learned in the previous one, especially to keep everything focused on performance and on the water. And all the stuff that's Olympic aside, just make sure that you enjoy it and don't look at,
yeah, don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Just do the stuff on the water, and then you're really happy.
Fantastic. What do you do? So say they've been out on the water and they haven't done what they maybe hoped to achieve that day, feel a bit, down or whatever. What do you do as a coach to keep them motivated?
Well, you don't have to motivate them. At the Olympics, everybody's most of the time too motivated. So you have to make sure that you can see where the downsides were. And it's nice when you can just pinpoint like, well, that went wrong and that went wrong. Most of the time it's a little bit harder to tell like what went wrong exactly. And then it's more to build a structure for the next day. Right. So the next day is a new day. It's completely a new start. So make sure that we do what we learned in the last years to do that on the next day.
Cool. So as a coach, do you find yourself wandering around going, oh, they look good, or are you constantly trying to spot new talent or drawing talent out of people?
It's a little bit of habit, yeah. When you see people walking and see also in other classes, see people sailing, like, oh, she's good, or that guy is really doing a good job, so yeah.
And do you ever sort of, you're in your rib and you go along and you see someone doing something wrong, do you feel inclined to go over and go, well, if you did it...
Yes, but you have to be careful because it's not your job.
No.
But sometimes you see stuff and you think like, well, it's quite easy to... stay away.
Keep focused.
Yeah.
So what would you say are the qualities that make a good match racing sailor?
That you can handle structure. Match racing is quite structured in the setup, so when you can handle that and you can control the boat, then you're a really good match racer. Also, you have to be really quick on your feet. It's a short and quick race, so you have to be quite energetic.
Right.
Quick. Yeah.
Nice and nimble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do to keep yourself motivated?
Oof. Difficult question. Well, I just like sailing, so it's quite easy. Every day in the water is nice.
Yeah.
So don't need.
It's not bad to get up when the days are like this.
No. Sometimes when it's raining and cold, then it's a little bit harder. But no, I don't need anything to motivate me.
No. Okay. What are the courses like for the match racing during the Olympics?
Well, they probably want to keep it as close to the shore as possible, and our race course is quite short, so they're going to push it quite hard, especially on the nose course, to get it really close. And that's a shifty, difficult course, but gives you also opportunities. So we look more in the opportunities than like it's quite hard. And maybe they swap around the course a little bit, but I think the match race are going to put it on there.
So when you say it's a short course, roughly how long would that race be?
It's about 14 till 18 minutes max.
Oh, right, so it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Wow. Will the weather conditions have a big impact on how the girls perform? Is there sort of conditions that suit them better, or are they sort of really now well trained up for whatever the weather can throw at them?
They're getting quite good on all conditions. The really light is always hard, but it's hard for everybody. But for the rest, they're really getting more equal in all conditions. So that's quite nice to see.